The morning in Willow Creek, Virginia, unfolded like a quiet promise. Wind chimes tinkled softly from Mrs. Larson's porch, their melody weaving through the cul-de-sac. The sun, still shy behind a veil of early spring clouds, cast a pale glow over the sidewalks. Across the street, a lawnmower hummed, its drone blending into the suburb's gentle lullaby. Nothing loud, nothing wrong. Just another Thursday, meant to slip by unnoticed. On the warm concrete, my grandson, Ethan, knelt in his faded hoodie and scuffed sneakers. At 11, he was all elbows and dreams, his box of pastel chalks spilling colors dulled from use. He sketched a superhero sentinel, a silent guardian who spoke only in signs. Ethan hummed as he worked, a mix of whispers and sound effects. No one's safe from. He stopped, shook his head, frustrated. His stutter always betrayed him, but he kept drawing, shading Sentinel's cape with fierce focus. From the porch, I watched, coffee mug steaming in my hand, my slippers damp from dew. I saw the determination in his eyes, the way he fought to make the colors last before they faded. Then I saw the SUV. Black, tinted windows, no plates. Dust clung to its bumper like a secret it couldn't shake. The engine growled too long before cutting off. 2 men stepped out, both in their 40s, wearing dark green polos with HOA enforcement, stitched in white. The bigger one, broad-shouldered with tactical pants and heavy boots, moved like he was here to break something. The other gripped a clipboard, flipping through laminated sheets with a theatrical scowl. They didn't look at the house. They marched straight for Ethan. "Hey, kid!" the big one barked, his voice sharp, mocking. "Clean up that mess before we find your parents." He mimicked Ethan's stutter, dragging out the words. Mess. A smirk curled his lips, like he just won a private bet. Ethan froze, chalk cracking in his fist. His eyes, wide behind thick glasses, darted up. "W what?" 2 didn't. The second man leaned in, a fake badge glinting on his belt. "Defacing public property, son. HOA Code 6.2. The first one laughed. "Should have put you in a school for slow kids. Might have fixed that gibberish." I stood, heart pounding, coffee sloshing in my mug. I wanted to charge down the steps, to shield Ethan from their cruelty. But something held me back. These men weren't here to talk. They were here to dominate. They'd picked Ethan because they thought he was weak. Inside the house, a chair scraped against the kitchen floor. I knew then, Grandpa had heard. Let me tell you about my grandfather, Walter Grayson. At 78, he's a wisp of a man, barely 140 pounds, his breath rasping through an oxygen tube. Most see him as fragile, a relic tethered to routine. But I know better. Walter was part of something called Unit Sigma, a Cold War psyops group shrouded in the haze of classified experiments. He rarely spoke of it, but sometimes, late at night, he'd mutter phrases that weren't English, or hint at words designed to unravel minds, to break loyalty with a syllable. I thought he was embellishing, weaving drama into a soldier's past. Until that morning. He stepped onto the porch, robe loose, one hand on the rail, the other adjusting his oxygen tube. His face was calm, unreadable, like a judge who'd already passed sentence. "Excuse me," the clipboard man said, voice dripping with condescension. "This your property, sir?" Walter didn't answer. He looked at Ethan, who stood tall despite the tears brimming in his eyes, too proud to wipe them away. "Inside, champ," Walter said softly, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. "Get your mom." Ethan nodded, dropped the chalk, and ran. Walter descended the steps, slippers whispering against concrete. "We're with the HOA," the clipboard man started. "Your grandson was. There's no code 6.2. I interrupted, stepping forward. "I'm on the board." They faltered, exchanging glances. The clipboard lowered. Walter spoke, his voice low, deliberate. "When you mock a child's voice, you expose your own fractures." The big man, let's call him Vince, laughed, cruel and loud. "Go back to your puzzles, Pops, before you break a hip." He shouldn't have laughed. Walter tilted his head, studying Vince like a scientist confirming a hypothesis. He took a step closer. The air seemed to thicken, the wind chimes falling silent. Then he whispered. 2 words. Shadow Veil. Vince blinked. Once. Twice. His face drained of color, as if blood had fled his body. His hands trembled, and he stumbled back, crashing into the flower bed. Dirt sprayed around him. What did you say? He gasped, eyes wild, like he'd seen a ghost from a nightmare. Walter didn't repeat himself. He smiled out warmly, but precisely, mournfully. The second word, he said, is worse. The crowd, now gathering, phones raised, held its breath. Ethan's mom, Sarah, burst out, barefoot in pajama pants, phone recording. Get away from my son! She snapped, voice like a fire alarm. I'm calling the sheriff! But Vince wasn't listening. He clutched his head, muttering. She said it was burned? Shadow Veil. Gone. He clawed at the soil, as if trying to bury himself. Sarah froze, camera still rolling. What the hell? She whispered. I stepped closer, heart racing. I remembered Walter's story's experiments where words were weapons, designed to shatter minds. I looked at him, and for the first time, I was afraid. Not of him, but of what he knew. What he hadn't said. The second man, clutching his plastic badge, stammered. We're with Mid-Atlantic Property Coordinators. It's protocol. Walter cut him off, his voice cold as steel. Your authority is fake. Your badge is plastic. Your courage? Gone before I say the second word. Vince was rocking now, whispering. She said if I heard it again? If I heard it. His partner tried to pull him up, but Vince shoved him away, eyes darting like he was trapped in a war zone. Neighbors murmured, cameras rolling. Bill Carter, a retired fire chief, called out. That badge ain't real. You impersonating officers? The second man's shoulders slumped. He knew it was over. Then Walter leaned toward Vince, the crowd frozen, paramedics just REVYing. He whispered again. Frost echo. Vince's body seized. A choked sob tore from his throat, not a scream of pain, but of memory. He curled into himself, sobbing, primal, broken. The kind of crying that strips away dignity. Gasps rippled through the crowd. What did he say? He's crying like a child. Even the paramedics hesitated, one staring at Walter like she'd seen a classified file come to life. Vince clutched at the EMT's sleeve. She said it was gone? No records, just voices. Frost echo. His words made no sense. But to him, they were everything. His partner backed away, hands raised. We didn't mean it. It was just chalk. Walter turned to the cameras, his voice steady. My great-grandson has a stutter. It's been with him since he spoke. That's the only thing these men thought made him weak. He paused, eyes scanning the crowd. But to speak when the world won't wait, when it laughs, interrupts, mocks your pause with that strength. That's courage. More than these men will ever know. The VY Deo went viral. By nightfall, Sarah's clip, plus others, exploded online. 30 million VYUs in days. Hashtags flooded social media, the Shadow Veil, the Frosteco, the Speak Anyway. Comment sections buzzed with theories, psyop triggers, Cold War secrets. Shadow Veil was a black site code, one user claimed. Frost Echo? A kill switch phrase from Unit Sigma. News outlets scrambled, linguists speculated, ex-operatives dodged questions. Walter just smiled. It's not the words, he'd say. It's the weight. The truth unraveled fast. Vince Coleman and his partner, Greg Holt, weren't HOA. They were ex-contractors from a shady firm, Nexus Response, dissolved after lawsuits. They'd been running a scam, faking citations, extorting families across 3 states. Willow Creek was meant to be easy. They chose the wrong sidewalk. The FBI arrested them within a week, charges of fraud, impersonation, harassment. But the public had already judged them. Vince's breakdown replayed endlessly. Ethan's story spread further. Speech therapists reached out. A nonprofit offered him a scholarship. Support groups for kids with stutters formed, themed around his chalk heroes. The city gave him a wall. On a bright Thursday, crews arrived with paint and lights. Ethan, clutching new chalk sent from strangers, watched his sentinel Rizia-caped figure, one hand signing. Brave. The cape bursting in yellows and reds. Below, in white letters, I speak, though the world won't wait. Underneath, smaller, sharper. Mock a child, wake a soldier. The mural became a beacon. Veterans left medals at its base. Kids posed with their own drawings, some in capes, others signing Ethan's words. People wept, stood in silence, hands over hearts. Walter refused interviews, ignoring pleas from anchors and filmmakers chasing shadow veils meaning. When Ethan asked, "What was it, Grandpa?" Walter paused. "A door I closed long ago. They opened it. That's all." But the story didn't end. A week later, a black sedan parked outside our house. A man in a crisp suit knocked. Walter glanced through the curtain, smiled, and turned off the light. Some secrets don't need answers. Some words cut deeper than knives. And some kids, like Ethan, keep drawing, keep speaking, no matter who laughs. Because courage doesn't need a third word.